Hi guys, Terry here. Hey, as I've been scanning my scrapbooks because I want to have them digitally backed up, I have learned some more tips. Plus, I recently upgraded my computer to Windows 11, so a couple of things changed in how I was doing the screenshot and trimming it down. So I've got some faster ways to do it with Windows 11. So let me show you how I'm getting my scrapbook albums scanned and then saved on my computer. If you're not familiar with this process, I'll have a link down below to my 3-part series where I show how to use your brother's scan and cut to scan these pages. Okay, so as I said, I recently upgraded to Windows 11. I didn't have any trouble upgrading from 10 to 11 on my computer. That went very easily. But what I noticed was Microsoft Paint changed, and it was a little bit, you know how when they upgrade the computer systems, all the little settings just get a little bit different. So in struggling with it, I actually found a way that I could save my screenshot and trim it more easily. So let me show you how. So if you're not familiar with my system, it's using your brother's scan and cut to scan the 12 by 12 pages. You lay it on the machine, you tell it to scan, and then it imports into the software here. So I recently did the file, import from your cutting machine, scanned image, and it'll bring in the last one that I did, which was this Christmas one. So what I do is I click to make those blue lines go away, and then I hit my Windows button and my print screen, and you'll watch the screen blink here when I do that. I'm holding down the Windows key and then I hit print screen. Okay, so the screen blinked. So what it did was it saved it over on these, there's a folder called screenshots under pictures. So on your computer under pictures, screenshots, it'll have these images. Okay, so if you notice this last one, it duplicated, so I'm going to delete that guy. But what I found was if I open this with, I'm right mouse clicking on the image and then I'm hitting open with photos instead of paint. I previously was going into paint to trim the screenshot. So see the screenshot, well, let me open it. Open with photos. And when you do this, which I've used photos before when I wanted to maybe make the picture landscape instead of portrait. But what I found here was it was easier to trim this. So I'm going to click up here on the top. There's a icon here that has a little pencil. So I'm clicking on that to edit this image. Okay. So I'm looking at my first screenshot that I did. So I'm gonna, it's defaulting to crop, and if you notice these little white corners over here, I'm gonna drag that to inside the little red dotted box there. Okay, and then I'm gonna do this bottom corner. So I started with that top corner, and now I'm doing this bottom corner. And if I don't like where something is, I can simply adjust it there. So it's just a way that when we brought the scanned page into the software and did a screenshot, of course we got the whole Brother Scan and Cut software screen, right? So now by opening it in Photos, I can use those corners to simply get the part of the screen that I want, right? I just want the 12 by 12 layout. So now I'm going to click on save, but I don't want to save it as a copy. I want to save over top of that file. It'll just save me time from having to rename it. Okay, so I'm hitting this down arrow and I'm hitting save. So it will replace that file that had the whole software page with just this 12 by 12 layout. So within a second there, I was able to do that. And then if you notice, instead of getting out of here and having to do the right mouse click again, I can just hit the next arrow that's over here on the right. Okay, so I hit that one and now I'm on the next one. So I click on the box with the pencil and I just snap this to that, and I'm just using my mouse to drag it. And you could do this fairly quickly, because after you do it, if you realize you didn't get enough of the screen, you can kind of pull it back out here and kind of adjust it. So see how it bounces around? And I can just put this corner square. I'm really putting the corner thing on that red line, and it's trimming inside that. Okay, so again, I'm going to hit my down arrow and hit the save, and then on to the next one. I'm clicking that next. I'm hitting the red pencil, or the box with the pencil, and then dragging this corner down. So I mean, if you've sat here and scanned, you can just go to town trimming these things and pressing save. So let's see if there's one more here. Drag. You can see where if you had a whole directory of these, you are just going to town. This is quicker than when we were in Paint. In Paint, I had to hit crop and then line the box up. I just love using these corners here. Save, and then do I have another one? I have one more. Drag. Drag. Okay, and save. Okay, and then I can tell them at the end because there's no next button. So if I X out of there, I can see that all of my, I'll just refresh the page here, all of these now have been trimmed. Okay, so just to review, we got the page out of our scrapbook, we put it on the scan and cut scanner, we uploaded it, we retrieved it on the software, and we did a screenshot. Now, one other step that I like to take is I want to make my 2-page layouts into one file. So the way that I do that is I start with the second page. Okay, so I'm going to start with the second page. Now I am going to use Paint for this, so I'm going to open it with Paint. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to have a link to my blog post that shows these 5 steps that I'm doing, because I think it's sounding complicated right now, but when you start scanning and getting on a roll, you'll have your album out, you'll load the pages, you'll bring it into the software, you'll trim it, and then you'll stitch these 2 pages together. The more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get with it, and you'll find little tips and stuff that you find. And if you do, please put it down in the comments so that we could all start sharing our ideas and how to make this process quicker. It takes me about 2 hours to scan one of my Creative Memory albums. And I'll just mention too that my pages aren't very thick. Occasionally I'll come across a page that when I go to put it through the scanner, thick letters will go through, my thickers will go through, but sometimes there's a brad or a button, and I simply have to remove that. I just carefully peel that off the page and try not to rip any paper, scan my page, and then I can re-glue it when I put it back in my book, or I can leave it off. It's up to you. My end goal is to have these digitally and to be able to share them with the kids. So you can either save these as a slideshow, you could just save the images. I upload all these to Snapfish, and then the kids have their album and they can just scroll through there and look at that. And then I also have been adding them to music. I go into my film editing software and I put the pages in order and add music to it, and then upload it to YouTube. And then I give the kids a link to their album, and they can see and flip through the pages, watch it on the television, through the YouTube app, and then they can see their albums. So it's just a way that people across the miles can see your albums, and then you also have it digitally backed up in case something happens to your scrapbook. I just love that feature. It's kind of giving me peace of mind. So anyways, back to this. I'm going to add I want to stitch 2 pages together. So I'm opening up the second page in Paint. Okay, and then I'm going to do Control A to select all, and Control C to copy it. So Control A, Control C. Okay, so I've copied page 2. I'm going to get out, and I'm going to go to page 1, and again, open in Paint, I'm going to go down here to where the side of this photo is, and I'm going to drag it out here to about 1700, 1800 pixels. And then I'm going to do Control V, which is paste. We copied page 1, now we're pasting page 2. Okay. Let me show you another way. I'm going to do the paste again. When I pasted it, it put it in the top corner here. That's a normal paste feature. So I'm just going to hit my keyboard arrow key because I want this to go sideways. You could use your mouse, but you might go up or down. That's what I was doing, as I kind of got off track. If you go too far with the arrow, you could just arrow back. And I want these pages to be butted up right against each other. I don't want there to be a white line. Maybe you do want there to be a white line. That's fine. But I did that, and now I'm going to click over here outside of that square. Let me get me out of the way. And I'm going to drag this. Remember we drug this over to about 1800 pixels. I'm going to bring it back to where I could see the side of that page is, which is just inside of 1700 pixels. Okay, and now I can just do a file save, or I know that that's Control S. Okay, so let's do that again. So this is the process where I'm stitching two pages together. So I'm going to start with the second page. I'm going to open it with Paint. Control A, Control C for copy. Get out. Go to the first page. Open with Paint. Control V to paste. And then my arrow key. Oops. Now see here, I forgot to drag that line over. So what's happening is I'm losing that page. Okay, if you ever do that, just hit the undo. You've got to widen this first. And like I said, I go over to about 1800 pixels. Now, Control V, use my arrow or your mouse. I go over, went too far, come back a little bit, get it right to there. Click, and then drag this over to the edge of your page. And hit Control S to save. Now, if you ever forget which page is the first one or which one's the second one, it may not matter on your layout, right? It may not matter, but you have your album right here beside you. So flip through that page and and pull that back out. So let me get out of this one. And then let me show you one last thing that I do. I don't need these pages anymore, right? So I'm gonna just delete the extra page because I saved it to the two-pager now. So on this one here, this was a single page layout. Now when I make my video, I want these to all be similar size. So I'm gonna open up this one page in Paint. And I'm going to drag this over to about the 1700 mark. Get me out of the way. And then, oh wait a minute, I know what I want to do. Before I drag that over, let me hit undo. So before I drag that over, I'm going to copy this page. So I'm doing Control A to select it, Control C to copy. And actually, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to do the Control X. Okay. So I actually, so let me start this one over. Do you want to save? No. Okay. And remember that if you ever make a mistake, you can get out of it. Just don't save it, right? You could go back to the original picture. If you really screw it up, you can scan the page again, right? So no worries. I'm going to open with Paint. I'm going to select it. And I'm going to do the Control X to cut this. Now I want to drag this over to my just short of 1700. Come over here. Okay, so now I have my page the same size as my other pages are. And I'm going to do the Control V to bring this back. And then I'm going to arrow over, and I'm going to put this about in the middle of the page. And then I'm going to hit Save, Control S. Okay, so that might have been a little bit confusing, but what I was doing was, see the screenshots? I wanted it to be the the same proportion as the 2-pagers. Because when I make that movie, I want it to look like this. I want it to be this page, and then this page. Imagine this put to music, and then this page. So, otherwise, that other one's just going to be a square, and it's not going to be in the same proportion. You don't need to do that. It just depends on what what you're doing with the final pictures. But so I hope this helps. I want to encourage you to back up your scrapbook albums digitally. If you have thick pages, I realize that would be cumbersome. Maybe you could set your camera up on a tripod and take pictures of those. It's just, I found that the scanner works so well in the Brother Scan and Cut because you are laying it on a scanner. Flatbed scanners will run you, $500 to $600, especially if you want a printer that is large enough. I think they make a 12 by 18 printer. So the Scan and Cut is $200 when it's on sale. There's more expensive Scan and Cuts. I don't think you need the fancier models. They just seem to have more built-in shapes, which that's not what you're using it for. And you can download shapes. So $200 you can get a Scan and Cut. I'll have links down below to Amazon to buy a Brother Scan and Cut. Or I also encourage you to find a local Brother dealership in your area that will help you. And but I'm so happy to be scanning these 12 by 12 pages. So I hope this helps. Like I said, down in the comments, tell me if you've tried this process. And I hope you have a great week. Bye, guys.